What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the Himiway Escape Pro dual suspension e-bike. As of today, October 3rd, 2022, this bike retails for $1,799. I already have my Aventon level e-bike. I also have my e-scooter. I kind of wanted something in between, so that's where the Himiway Escape Pro comes in as a nice moped style e-bike. Taking a look at the specs, this bike has a Samsung 48 volt 17.4 amp hour battery, 750 watt motor, 20x4 Kenda fat tires, dual front and back suspension, 188 millimeter mechanical brakes, Shimano 7-speed gear system, and alloy wheels. I originally planned to build this bike here in my garage, but when they delivered the bike, the package was 111 pounds. So I was not trying to lug that box anywhere, so I just ended up leaving it in my living room and building it there. Off the bat, I do want to say, while I enjoy and love e-bikes, I am by no means an expert when it comes to the mechanics of them or building them. This is only my second e-bike that I've built, so I did not film the unboxing and building process because that would have been a very messy video of me trying to figure things out. So rather than do a video, I just took some photos so you guys can follow along and kind of see the process that I went through. All right, so first thing, opening the box. This is a very heavy bike at 92 pounds. So it was a bit heavy and awkward to take out the bike from the top, and I didn't want to drag it off from the side. It might catch on something and damage it. So what I did was lay the box on its side and cut open the whole front flap, kind of like a clamshell. This made everything easier to access and take out, but also since I was building it on my area rug in my living room, this helped use the cardboard box as a surface to build on. This way I don't get anything in my house dirty. First thing you'll see inside the box is the accessory box. In this box you have the light, pedals, charger, a Himiway hat, and a toolkit. I really like the toolkit that came with this bike. It just feels like a nice tough plastic. The tools themselves are nice and thick. They feel like a good quality. My old bike, the Aventon, it came with a toolkit as well, but this one is kind of more the minimal essentials. It kind of feels like a cheap plastic. I mean, the tools are fine, it gets the job done, but I feel like long term it's not going to hold up as well. Whereas this one feels like it can take a beating and it will last quite some time. I know I've seen this Rock Bros brand on Amazon, so I looked it up, and this on its own would have cost you 15 bucks. So that's a nice little bonus to be included in the box. There were no instructions included with the bike inside the box, or maybe I missed it. But if you look up the Himiway Escape Pro bike on YouTube, there's an official video from Himiway that walks you through the entire process. So that made it overall pretty easy. Honestly, I prefer a video to a manual anyways, because it's much easier to build it when you have a visual demonstration versus trying to figure it out from a diagram on a paper. Like most other e-bikes, the wheel does come separate in the box, so you have to install the axle onto the wheel and then to the wheel onto the bike. There was a certain way the spacers and washers and bolts do have to go on the bike, so take a look at the Himiway video, pause it there, and then put it in that order. Otherwise, if you do it wrong, the wheel's not going to sit properly. One problem I did have was when you install the front tire onto the front fork, there was this thick plastic thing on there, and there was no mention of it on the instructions. Other unboxings didn't have the same style black bracket piece, so I was struggling for at least a good 15-20 minutes trying to figure out how to get that off. There was no screws or bolts or anything, and it was really on there. So as a last resort, I ended up grabbing a hammer and I just tapped it, and when I did that, it came off very easily. So I guess it's just on there with friction holding on to the front fork. So if you go across that same problem, simply just tap it with a hammer and it'll slide off real easy. After that, you want to go ahead and install the pedals. No matter which side of the bike you're on, you want to put it in and rotate the screw so it's going toward the front of the bike. To make it easier, Himiway also has a small diagram where the pedal goes that shows the arrows on which way to rotate it to put it in right. Lastly, you'll want to install the front fender and the front headlight. The attachment point for the front fender on my bike did come a little bent, but it was easy to bend back in place, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Originally, I did put the screws in the wrong order, because when Himiway shipped the bike to me, the screws were put in a certain way, but it wasn't the proper way it was supposed to be. So I had to look online and figure out the right way to put those. So I would recommend go to the Himiway video again, zoom into that spot, and put it in that order. I also took a photo to show you the right order they're supposed to go as well. Once the bike is built, you simply want to adjust your brakes, because if you start riding once it's built, chances are your brake pads are likely going to be rubbing against the rotor. So that's real simple. You just loosen 2 screws on the front caliper, squeeze down the brake handle as hard as you can, and then tighten those back up, and that'll get it centered and properly where it needs to be. Same with the back, just repeat that process, and that'll get the back brake properly set as well. And that's about it. When the bike was shipped, it had about 70% battery charge. So all in all, it took me about an hour to an hour and a half to build it. If I didn't get stuck trying to figure out that front fork thing, I probably could have built it in about an hour. So you really don't need a lot of experience to build these bikes. So if you're a little intimidated about buying a bike online versus a bike dealer simply because they build it for you there, don't worry about it. No matter your experience, I'm sure you can build this bike as well. Moving on to my first impressions of this bike, I really like that it has integrated lights. My old bike, I had to put the light on the back, and I also had to put another light on the front. It was just more cost and more things to think about, especially when they're rechargeable. I have to take them off the bike and charge them every single time. With this, it's built in. I never have to think about it. It's just there, ready to go. The front light has a nice LED ring on it. It also has a really good output. I'll snap some photos of it on and off so you can kind of see the comparison of what kind of light it puts out. The Escape Original has the battery that mounts in from the top. This one has it from the bottom. I think I would have preferred it from the top. It just seems a lot easier to take it in and out that way. At the bottom it's fine, but if the tire is straight or at a certain angle, it can block it sometimes and make it a little difficult to take in and out. Not a big issue, but it would be much easier from the top. Overall, I like the way the bike looks. It's real simple, minimalistic. It's all just matte black with a few white logos here and there. I am a professional automotive detailer as my profession. So when it comes to paint, I like to keep my things as mint as possible. When it's glossy paint, you can polish it, take out scratches. But with matte paint, you can't polish it, because if you do, you'll make a sheen on there and it'll add some gloss to the area and it'll just look weird. So since I'm OCD, I want to keep this bike in mint condition. I will be ceramic coating it. This will give it a good protection and make it a lot easier to keep clean. I'll be doing a video in the coming weeks to cover that. So if you're interested in seeing that, subscribe to the channel, and I'll walk you through the process and the benefits of doing that as well. On the top of the down tube, I did notice a light scuff that came with the bike. It's nothing too serious, but I'm hoping when I ceramic coat the bike, that'll also darken it a little bit and also help it blend in. One thing I didn't expect is how huge these wheels are. I've seen photos of it online, I watched reviews, and they look kind of a medium size. But when you get this in person, these are some huge wheels, especially when you're riding and look down at the wheel. That's just like a giant motorcycle wheel. You have to see these wheels in person to see how big they really are, because like I said, photos and videos really do not do them justice. So after I built the bike, my wife actually wanted to go on a bike ride, so it was the perfect time to go take it for a test. I went about a 10-mile ride, and that gave me a good idea and feel for how this bike rides and handles. First off, the suspension is great. I love the suspension on this. It has a rear suspension and a front suspension. On my other bike, I have a front suspension, then I have the seat post suspension, but that does not compare to this. This, I could ride it through grass, dirt. It soaks everything up. You really don't feel the bumps, and it just makes riding in non-paved conditions so much more fun. Like when I was riding with my wife, she was always on the paved area, but whenever I had the chance, I would cut off and ride in the dirt or the grass. It was just so much fun to ride through those conditions and not feel any of it. She looked at me like I was a little crazy, but I was having a blast. Second, this bike has a lot of torque. I did not expect much of a difference because my other bike is 500 watts. This is 750 watts, but the way they handle the power delivery, when you hit that throttle, it just sends you. Like you feel the torque just travel through the bike and you're going full speed ahead. This took a little bit of a learning curve. I kind of had to learn to finesse the throttle a little bit. But once I got the hang of it, it wasn't bad. No issues there. I just got this bike yesterday, so I haven't had the chance to test out the top range yet. Himiway advertises, I think it was 30 to 50 miles top range. When I got the bike, like I said, I was only about 60-70% full, so I went out and took it that way. I rode about 10 miles, and when I got back, I had a little bit more over half left. So it seems about right that I'll get about 30 miles on range. But in the next coming days and weeks, I'm gonna charge the battery up, take it for a long ride, and see how much it actually gets. I did test the top speed though, and I was able to get 22.7 miles per hour. It did peak at 23 for a quick second, but then it got back to 22.7, so I'll stay locked there at 22.7. I know it can be unlocked, so I'm gonna go ahead in the settings as well, unlock that and see how fast I can get it. It still felt like it had a lot of power at 22.7, so I'm pretty sure it can easily go up to 28 or even more. I did take a quick photo of when I did the top speed run, so I'll go ahead and throw that up now. All right, so on to the cons. No bike is perfect, so let me go over the things that I initially see and don't like. While it does include a rear rack that looks nice and unique, it is made of wood. Long term, I don't really know how well that's going to hold up. Maybe it might fade over time, maybe it might get warped. We'll see how that holds up. Another thing is I couldn't get my standard bike rack bag to fit on there. It's just a little too bulky and wide. I tried different ways to get it on there. I couldn't figure it out. So I think I'm gonna have to buy some Velcro straps and extend the straps on my bag because as is, they weren't long enough to wrap around it. Second, there is no hydraulic brakes. For some reason, on the original version, from what I've seen, have hydraulic brakes. But on the Pro version, they went down to mechanical brakes, which seems like a really odd thing to do. It should have been the other way around. Regular has mechanical, Pro has hydraulic. So, I mean, they're fine. It's not that big of a deal. It has good stopping power, but having hydraulic brakes on my other bike, when you feel the difference, the hydraulics are just so much better. I'm gonna reach out to the company. Hopefully I'll find out the reason why they did this downgrade. Maybe the old ones had issues. Maybe they did it for cost saving reasons. I'm not really sure, but I'll come back and keep you guys updated. Third, I don't like how many Himiway logos are on this bike. They have two on the main frames, one on the left, one on the right, and then right below that toward the tire they have two more, Himiway.com, again left and right. On the back of the seat they have another Himiway, and then on front of the screen they also have another Himiway. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Himiway logos on the bike. I mean, I know you guys like your brand, it's good advertising for you, but as a consumer, I don't really want to drive around a Himiway billboard. And at the same time, the whole thing in the back that says www.himiway.com, it makes me feel like I'm riding one of those rental bikes that you'll get in downtown locations. And it just doesn't look very well to me. Fortunately, they are all just stickers, so you can take off whatever you like and customize it to your liking. Third, the bike comes with a really nice front headlight. But the one in the back, the tail light, looks kind of cheap. It's only one little LED in the middle. I wish it had more lights all around. I wish it would illuminate more. I mean, it does the job. It's nice they included it. It's a nice reflector, nice little light. But it's kind of strange to put a much better headlight and then include like a very basic tail light. So I'm gonna look around and see if I can find a tail light and replace it with one of my own. I'm pretty sure it should be a standard connection and should be easy to swap out. So if I find something in the next video or two, I'll go ahead and show you guys what I upgraded to so you guys can do the same with your bike. All right, well that about wraps up this video with my initial impressions of this bike. Stay tuned the next days and coming weeks. I'm gonna have more content about this bike that'll include top range speed, me riding on different terrains, the top speed when it's unlocked, and comparisons to my other bikes, what are the difference and so on. So hit that subscribe button if you want to get updated and see when those videos come out. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.